Namaste. Cinema in India has a lot of inspiration from religion. They always bind tradition and accolades of a story plot with religion. So it definitely depends on a writer or the story narrator of what the religion in a certain story plot is, be it a love story or any kind of another story plot. It always has Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, be it Catholics or Christians as such. It always has a religion bound to the script. And India being a Hindu country, it always gives a great immense pleasure to show the beautiful traditions. Feature films in India started in the year 1920s. It was just motion pictures, just strip of motion and black and white, and that's it. And then eventually they started to showcase how it turned into slowly to verbal, to music and dance, and then how it evolved into an aspect of more color resilient. The cameras upgraded, and so did the quality of cinema. Feature films were it started with 2 hours and 2.5 hours, and that's where it stayed. The margin always stayed to that point. Feature films in India always focus on a great aspect of heritage and culture, religion, and definitely a lot of how it's done when it comes to the apparel worn, which is significant to the religions. It depends on what the story plot holds and how it's done or how it's been narrated. Every script and every plot always associates with a religion, like Hinduism, Islam, or Christianity. It depends on the script or the plot or the writer and what exactly is what they're trying to communicate. So today we are taking the time to talk about these scripts and locations and story plots where every religion is focused on based upon the story. India, in the early years, per se 1920, 1921, 1922, a whole decade was inspired by Ramayana, the Hindu literature of their Sikh worshipped Ramayana story in every script. Every year there was a film released inspired by Ramayana. Be it Ravan, Ram, or Sita, there was some sort of inspiration always taken. In India, most Indian films were picturized in the initial phases in Mumbai. The plot, the locations usually were from Bombay. Most Bollywood films were taking place and were picturized in Mumbai. Now Mumbai has a very specific way to religion. If you're Hindu or you're Christian or Islam, you still participate in all the celebrations and in all the religious festivities in the city. That is the greatest part of being from Mumbai or knowing Mumbai. If you have usually felt the vibe of Mumbai, as per se, Mumbai religion and how they focused on always keeping a unity between religions, and it's always seen similarly in films too. You always notice that every film always has a Hindu friend or a Muslim friend or a Christian or a Catholic friend. There's always an inclusion of trying to depict unity in every story plot. At least they give it an effort to always show that we try to stand united no matter how different we are. That is a very spectacle culture what Mumbai follows, and it's really appreciated. A lot of Bollywood films are inspired by what they pray and meditate on. Be it Krishna, who is fond of his ladies and his Radha, or in Ramayana, how Sita is being abducted. Cinema in India in the early years, per se 1920, 1921, 1922, a whole decade was inspired by Ramayana, the Hindu literature of their Sikh worshipped Ramayana story in every script. Every year there was a film released inspired by Ramayana. Be it Ravan, Ram or Sita, there was some sort of inspiration always taken. Hindi cinema started taking a lot of interest in Catholic per se names, be it in dance sequences, locations which were relevant to Catholicism in around mid 1990s, where songs like Julie Julie Tu Ladki Nahi Mamuli, My Name is Anthony Gonsalves, or even When Boy Meets Girl sequences, or a lot of other features which were pertaining to something too relevant to Catholics. Or there was even Christians, as per se. Feature films in Hindi cinema usually focus on a very unified aspect to religious prospects. When it comes to Hinduism or Christianity or Islam or Muslim, they always try to keep it significant, be it Christmas or be it Diwali or Eid. It definitely, they try to incorporate it in such a way that there is enough respect to your own religion and also that you take.
Julia asked Hanuman, "Where is Ram?" A 2025 epic playwright story, a fun-filled playwright that is a backstage pass of Ramayana for kids. A few Christians and Catholics are performing a play, the characters of Ramayana, and you are invited to the backstage chit-chats. This book is written by Julia George, author, Los Angeles. Celebrity and aka Julia Robin David. And it's also dedicated to my family. So do check it out. The book, in detail, at least a few relevant information about the book. It has a hilarious scenes of the backstage chit-chats being played by a few Catholics and Christians who are playing the parts of Sita, Ram, Ravan, and Hanuman. They're living their lives. They have their own world of responsibilities of the stage, simple humans. You know, they're just people who are living their lives, but they're on a stage performing. So how do they balance real life drama and the stage drama? So get ready to enjoy this book that will it's filled with humor and little parts of the play. Again, the title of the book is Julia asked Hanuman, "Where is Ram?"
Namaste. Hi, this is a special message for all school-going kids. I'm coming out with a new book called Julia Asked Hanuman, Where is Ram? This book is a little cheerful story which is inspired by Ramayana, and it is a story that gives a backstage pass to these characters played by Sita, Ram, and Ravan. So do check out my book titled Julia Asked Hanuman, Where is Ram? So as I conclude, cinema has a lot of elements in it, like say the location, or a spiritual aspect to it, or what is essential to the plot or a story. It depends on these characters that makes every part of a story plot important. Thank you for watching. My name is Julia George, and please continue to support these films which are promoting cinema in India. Namaste.